Respect Chapter 1, Wake. At the end of the ancient times, the calamities of the heavens came, and countless immortals and demons fell, all buried in this calamity. In that year, not only the celestial world was chaotic, but even the 3,000 worldly worlds were affected to varying degrees, and many places became barren. Although many days have passed and the aura between heaven and earth has gradually recovered, there are still some places that are still barren today. One of them is Qian Ridge, which is located in the northwestern border of the world of Tsangshuan. Speaking of Qi Yanling, there is another name, Funeral Ridge. Legend has it that the legendary Jiuyo Emperor, a generation of Megatron immortal in the late ancient times, fell here. Of course, the reason why a legend is that no one has ever seen it before, and naturally no one takes it seriously. After all, for so many years, there have been 10,000 and 8,000 burial places for Emperor Jiuyo. Ziqian Ridge is a huge barren mountain and wild ridge with mud puddles, swamps, and valleys, but in the center is a desert without grass. At noon on that day, the sun was so hot that this desert shone like grains of gold in the sun. Suddenly, the purple flames ignited inexplicably in the desert. The flames were still very weak at the beginning, but they exploded within a short time, and the fire spread to the surrounding areas. The blazing purple flames quickly burned the surrounding desert. It became a sea of fire. I do not know how long, the purple sea of fire gradually faded, and became weaker and weaker, until the inexplicable and complete extinction. The desert is still a barren desert, but in the desert, I do not know when a person appeared. That is a young man who looks a little bit embarrassed. He looks like he is in his early 20s, with messy hair, broken robes, and blood on his body, just as if he had just experienced a life-and-death battle. He was lying quietly in the desert, with a faint purple flame burning on his body, like a mysterious rune, swaying under the hot sun, blurred, twisted, and scattered. As the rune-like purple flames went out one by one, the young man's fingers moved slightly, and then his eyes gradually opened. I wonder if it was unconscious for a long time or what. It seemed to be a little uncomfortable with the hot sun, just closed again soon. After narrowing it for a long time, it opened slowly again. It was a pair of very quiet eyes, like an abyss, and the eyes were full of confusion. Alive. It turns out that Gu Qingfeng is still alive. The young man named Gu Qingfeng is also the 9th emperor of the world's population. He looks a little weak, shakes his drowsy head, raises his head, a pale face with a confused and embarrassed expression. Why am I still alive? Havoc of the heavens, is it over? I closed my eyes. The situation at the time of the Holocaust was vivid. The sky collapsed, the earth collapsed, and the sun and the moon disappeared. At the same time, countless heaven and earth trials were intermingled, and all evil between heaven and earth was judged. As a slasher and a demon, he has won the immortal warrior's throne. He is also the master of Jiuyo. Gu Qingfeng has already been labeled as evil and is one of the most important trial objects in heaven. When the catastrophe of the heavens occurred, the trial of the heavenly path also came. The foundation of the ancient Qingfeng Avenue was destroyed, the fairy demon throne was taken away, and the 9th emperor was destroyed, and the whole body was also destroyed by trial. He cultivated from this life. All the achievements were cleaned up by the heavenly trial, and in the vague memory, only one physical child was left in the trial. But, how could it be alive? Isn't Tiandao taking everything from me? Look at me pitifully and intentionally save my life. Do not. Impossible. Dedeo is ruthless, and Tiandao is the most ruthless. To say that Tiandao has pity on himself and will kill Gu Qingfeng will not believe it. Why is he alive? Okay. When the ancient breeze was puzzled, he inadvertently saw a bone jade worn on his neck. This jade looked like the size of a thumb and looked less like jade, more like an ancient wood and a bone. This thing was found in an ancient Buddhist gate ruins that year, and he was wearing it all the time. When the heavens and the catastrophe happened, all his powerful magic weapons were destroyed. Only this piece of perishing bone was preserved. Spiritless bone jade, must be quasi-boneless jade. Only this piece of dead bone jade could save my life. What exactly is this perishable bone jade? Gu Qingfeng has not studied it for a lifetime, so why is he still alive at this moment? Is it true that the perishable bone jade has saved himself? He is too lazy to think about it. Looking at the surrounding desert, and looking at the scorching sun, he knew that he had escaped the terrible horror of the heavens. The havoc of the heavens is over, it is over. The ancient breeze slowly stood up and sighed helplessly. Fighting with people, fighting with immortals, fighting with magic, fighting after all, but God. This is his biggest insight after the horrors of the heavens. On a cold face, his expression is a little complicated, muttering. Says, anyway, just be alive, as long as you live, there is hope. As long as I live, there is hope. Shio can practice again if there is no road, no achievements can be achieved without the foundation of the road, no matter how immortal the throne of immortals can be, you can come back again, everything can come back. The ancient breeze was not afraid, and never feared. If he was afraid, he would not go against the sky at the same time and ask the throne of immortals at the same time, let alone the Emperor Ding Jiuyo who has been regarded as a nail in the eyes of heaven. Looking at the scorching sun, with a scornful smile, she said arrogantly, Heaven, even if you take everything from me, you will be beaten back to my body, and one day, I will make a comeback and take you away 10 times back. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and continued to walk. How long it took for the horrors of the heavens to pass, he didn't know where it was, nor did he know. Leaped across the desert and walked into a barren mountain and wild ridge. The environment in this place is terrible. Not to mention aura, even the air is very sparse, and there are some brutal beasts everywhere. Fortunately, this flesh of the ancient Qingfeng used to Jiuyo ancestors have been tempered by fire, and every hair, membrane, bone, meridian and even the internal organs of the body are unusual. Even if his body is broken up by the trial of heaven, the power of one punch is enough to destroy a mountain alone. The only regret is that he has no strength but can only walk on 2 legs. The whole body was broken up, and there was not even a trace of spiritual power in the body, let alone the royal wind flight, even if it was not a trivial exercise. The most important thing is that he has just awakened, his soul is extremely weak, and his spirit is very tired. He must first find a place with strong aura and cultivate for a while. I walked aimlessly like this, but the more he walked, the more he felt that this place was a little familiar, even though it was deserted everywhere, but I didn't know why, I just felt familiar. Isn't it Qianling here? Qi Yanling is a place where the ancient Qingfeng practiced in his youth and where he grew up. It is also where he first became famous in this world. It can be said that Qi Yanling carries all his memories of his youth. I carefully recalled what happened to the Holocaust in the beginning. The people who were judged by the heavens were not ghosts, and then hurriedly returned from the heaven to the hometown of Tsangshuan. At that time, I thought that if I died, I would die to my hometown, and die wherever it started. And Qianling is where he was born, grew up, and even started his spiritual journey. Thinking of this, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but hesitated, and murmured, I remember, here is really Qiyan Ridge. Looking at this barren mountain and ridge, he was very complicated inside, I don't know if it was all Tianhao destroyed the Qiyan Ridge. With a sigh, he continued walking until he walked out of this barren mountain and wild ridge. What he didn't expect was that the mountain was a huge cemetery. The cemetery was very wide, it looked relatively simple, and it was a little dilapidated. Some of the buildings seemed to be broken. Many people came in and out of the cemetery and came to a stone monument in the middle of the cemetery, as if worshipping something. The stone monument is very tall and majestic like a mountain peak, with a poem carved on the stone monument. Generation Wizards Ancient Sirius. Qiyan Ridge Shocked Quartet. Bury the Madman on the Road. Ridiculed. A Trial of the World. There is no king in this world. When Gu Qingfeng walked into the cemetery and looked at the inscription on the stele, the whole man couldn't help but behold, because the ancient Sirius was his real name and the name in the secular world, and the king of the red sky was once asked the name of the throne of Fairy Road. This is my cemetery. The ancient breeze did not expect that this place was its own cemetery. Perhaps it was so surprised that it was impossible to speak for a long time looking at the stone monument, and it was enough for a long time. I can't think of anyone in this secular world remembering the name of the ancient Sirius. The path of his spiritual practice in this life was extremely bumpy. He has been judged by Xiandao, Modeo, and Tiandao successively. It can be described as 3 ups and downs. The ancient Sirius is his real name and also carries the endless crazy years of his frivolous hours. During the practice in the secular world, I used to be glorious, but also gloomy. When I was glorious, I smiled proudly, and when everyone worshipped, I was humbled by dust when I was gloomy. I left the mundane world that year and decided to forget everything, so I changed my name after flying to heaven, and never used the original name Sirius. I was young and arrogant and offended a lot of people. I was even tried by Xiandao. I don't know who promoted me so much. I built such a cemetery in my hometown Qianling. Standing next to the stele, looking at the people who came in and out, they did not know any of them. Some of them were praying, some were worshipping, and others were lamenting what they were sorry for. Of course, many people looked more seems to be here. Gu Gyukingfeng looked for a while, but the conversation between the 2 women caught his attention. These 2 women, one with a beautiful appearance and exuding a mature charm, were dressed in red, like a wind-dust woman. The other petite girl looked about 18 or 19 years old, tall, exquisite, and dressed in the white uniform. Yu reading www.yuyukangshu.com looked valiant, entered the cemetery, looked around, and said with a little sadness, "And, it seems that fewer and fewer people come to worship at the cemetery. Less than a month ago." The glamorous woman glanced at the people in the cemetery, sighed slightly, and said, "After the catastrophe, the end of ancient times, this century has passed 100 years, and geniuses have sprung up everywhere, creating legends one after another. Remember the immortal glory of the Emperor Qishao. Now the young people are arrogant, but whoever has some qualifications is not arrogant. If you go out and make a little fame, you see and wait to let everyone in the world know. Some ignorant young people even compare themselves to the king of Acacia. It's ridiculous." Looking at the stone tablet, the eyes of the beautiful woman are full of admiration and admiration. How arrogant the former king was to step on the ladder of the world to the arrogance of the world. What awe-inspiring monarch was when the swords of the old monarchs came to stand alone in the mountains. How arrogant the former king was when he was alone in fighting all masters. How domineering the former king was when he laughed at the sky with a smile on the sky. How crazy is the blood-stained wasteland that the king once killed for his brother. What a love it once was for the king to sever the sky with a sword. People who haven't experienced that era, they can't understand how the Qishao king was a worshipping existence. Aunt, you don't seem to have gone through that era. Dead girl, Aunt grew up listening to the king's legend. Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 2, Capricorn. The ancient Qingfeng always stood beside the stone monument and looked in silence. Hearing that it had been 100 years since the plagues of the heavens, and that the times before the plagues of the heavens had been returned to ancient times, I was quite moved. To be honest, the ancient Qingfeng was not surprised at all before the catastrophe. Viewing history, almost every era in the ancient times, and the ancient times has evolved in this way. Almost every time a catastrophe occurs, it represents the end of an old era and the beginning of a new era. As for the cause of the catastrophe, and why the Tao of Heaven judges all sins in the world, this can only be said to be the result of the evolution of the root of heaven, and it is also an inevitable law of historical development. The only thing I sighed to him was that I didn't expect that he had been fainted in Qianling for 100 years, which made him understand a little. Aunt, do you say that the Emperor Qishao will reincarnate? The little girl who looked heroic looked at the stone monument and asked, after the catastrophe, many ancient powers have reincarnation. Why is there no news of a king? How can I know this kind of thing? Since the catastrophe, every year there are rumors that the king will be reincarnated, but it has been passed on for almost 100 years, and no one has seen the reincarnation of the king, let alone it was 300 years ago when the king was judged by Xiandao, and the door of reincarnation was opened when the catastrophe happened. Doen't you say that the king was not judged by Xiandao at that time? It is a pseudonym that has ascended to heaven. If this is the case, the king should be reincarnated. Girl, these are all rumors. No one knows whether the king was judged by Xiandao that year. A lot of ancient powers have reincarnation. Listening to the conversation between the two women, Gu Qingfeng was quite puzzled, but after thinking about it, he was quickly relieved. Because he knew that when the catastrophe happened, the laws of heaven and earth became chaotic, and he didn't know which powerful power that opened the heavens and earth opened the door of reincarnation. Many powers and even immortals entered the reincarnation to escape the catastrophe. Door, and Gu Qingfeng failed to step into the door of samsara for some special reasons. I don't know if those old friends are reincarnation. Not far away, the little girl in white looked at the steel, and there was a gleam of longing in her beautiful eyes, and she said softly, "It would be nice if the king really reincarnates." I said, "Girl, shouldn't you play the king's song with more bullets?" The glamorous woman glanced at her and said seriously, "Aunt advises you to play less king's song in the future, playing too much is not good for you." "Aunt, I just like the king's music, how can it be magical?" "Really? Don't exaggerate like this. Girl, your aunt didn't joke with you. The king's songs are weird one by one, mysterious one is more mysterious, and most people can't control it. Have you played the king's music in these years?" "Both, you have a bit of memory, if you're playing because of the king's song, how can I tell your old lady? Others are other people, and I won't be enchanted by Ouyang Yi." The girl named Ouyang Yi flung her aunt's eyes and then looked at the steel, but she was deeply in deep contemplation. She liked the rhythm and she liked it since she was young, especially after listening to the tunes left by the king. It is impossible to extricate herself, and it is strange to say that every time you play the tune of the king, she will feel a sense of inexplicability. As if dreaming of going back to the ancient times to see the king's style, she is fascinated. Is it true that playing the king's tunes is magical? Do not. Impossible. At least I won't. Ouyang Yi shook his head confidently, identifying himself as impossible. Gu Qingfeng was listening, while shaking his head and smirking. He did write a lot of songs, and it was really like the beautiful woman said. Many of the songs are weird. The average person really can't control them. Alas, this is also possible, because the melody can arouse a person's spiritual resonance. If the spirit is not strong enough, it is easy to be affected by the melody, hallucinations, and mental disorders may be possible. Just to make Gu Qingfeng somewhat puzzled is that although he was addicted to the melody for a long time, he also wrote a lot of music, but he never taught others to play, how to listen to the beautiful woman, as if many people were play your own tunes, and there are Capricorns. If that is the case, then the sin would be great. Girl, don't blame your Aunt Luo Luo. In the past year, you have run here more and more every day. Do you really think your aunt doesn't know your thoughts? Aunt, don't talk nonsense, how can I have it? Girl, my aunt is here, and I have been playing the melody longer than you, and I am more accomplished than you. I have played a lot of king's songs. Do you know why there are so many people in the world who like to listen to kings? That's because the king's music has a unique charm. To be exact, the king is too charismatic. His song, Winds Up the Big Mountain, is irritable. After listening to it, it is easy to resonate with the spirit and make people dream back forever. It is like witnessing the madness of the king in the great castle in the past. The man listened to the blood worship, the woman listened to the heart rippling, all obsessed. There is another phoenix, not to mention, that was the tune played by the king for the world mother-in-law, that was an infatuation, that was a heartbreaking, listeners heartbroken, the average woman after listening, who is unmoved. Aunt. That's you, I don't have a heart, and I'm not infatuated. No heartbeat. No fascination. Are you fool? The glamorous woman gave her a glance, and said angrily, Then I ask you, why have you been trying to please Father Huida in the last few days? Not every day fine wine is food delivery. Elder Hewitt is my most respected person, can't I be nice to him? Dead girl, really aunt is a 3-year-old child. Do you think your aunt doesn't know what idea you're working on? I'm afraid I saw the bracelet of the old man's blood inflammation, as far as I know. If you do aunt have a crush on the king, why do you want the bracelets he made yourself? I like magic weapons, can't I? Come on, dare to talk to me hard. Looking at Ouyang Yi who did not admit death, the glamorous woman wanted to reprimand 2 sentences, but after thinking about it, it was fine, persuading, girl, listen to your aunt's words of persuasion, what about the king's music, just listen. Don't play it, it's really a magic wand. When I thought my aunt was almost. What is it about? Ouyang asked with a grin. The glamorous woman glared and said, anyway, you will play less of the king's music in the future. Do forget that he is a man who has been a demon, and it is not an ordinary demon. If not, why do you think the king will be immortal? Trial. Hey, aunt, you have always worshipped the king, so how can you say that? The aunt admits that he worships the king, his peerless talent, his arrogance, his extraordinary accomplishments, his perseverance, and his domineering arrogance, but worship is worshipped, and I worship the king, and it does not mean that he is obsessed with him. After all, he is a man who has been into a demon, both a demon and a sinner. Humph. Ouyang snorted coldly at night, no longer paying attention. She hates others saying that the king is a demon, and even hates others saying that the king is a sinner of immortality. The glamorous woman also knew that her niece didn't like to listen to these. She sighed helplessly, glanced at the sky, and asked, it's getting late, girl, I'll go to Weihu to meet Wang Bangzhu later. Would you like to go with me? King of Lords. That fat man is always fascinated every time I see it, so I don't want to go with you, you go. Well then, you should go back to the villa yourself later. She stood in the cemetery, looking at the back of the beautiful woman leaving. Gu Qingfeng could not help but wonder. I heard the second woman talk about the hematitis bracelet, and did she make it herself? The ancient breeze thought about it, but he had no impression of the blood inflammation bracelet. He had refined many magic weapons in his life, and even he himself did not know how many. And many more. Elder Beacon. Why is he so familiar? Suddenly, the ancient breeze suddenly felt, and an old man suddenly appeared in his mind. Is it the old man of Huadezhen? Remember that carefully, and think again that this is Qian Ridge. Gu Qingfeng can almost conclude that the fire virtue in the mouth of these two women must be the bad old man who digged and pitted in the past, and still remembered that the old man seemed to be Yinxia people. Just now the two women called Huada as the elder. So, these two women are the disciples of the Yinxia school. Yun Yinxia faction. This is the largest practice school in the surrounding area at that time. Ben Huada, the old man. Ha ha. I have left the world for more than 300 years, right? I don't know how the old man is doing now. Shi Meiyan left for a long time, and the little girl named Ouyang Yi didn't seem to leave, so she stood there, raised her head, and looked at the stone tablet. Her expression was a little sullen, and she murmured quietly. King, are you really a sinner? Certainly not. Although I see and play the song before you went into the devil, Maybe I will never play it with my temperament, but I was once fortunate to have heard Su Su play it once. I can clearly understand that you are completely involuntary to get into the magic. Even if people in the world say that you are a demon and a sinner of immortality, you have always been the hero of the world in my mind. Hey, King, will you reincarnate? A lot of people say that you were tried and died 300 years ago by Xiandao. It is impossible to reincarnate. But some people say that you were not sentenced to death by Xiandao 300 years ago, but you have ascended into the realm under the pseudonym. I think if you really ascend to heaven, you will catch up with the catastrophes of the heavens 100 years ago. When you heard of the catastrophe, the door of reincarnation was opened. Many immortals have reincarnated. If you really ascended to heaven, and it will certainly be reincarnated, right? But, the news about your reincarnation has been circulating for almost 100 years. It's been circulating almost every year, but why don't you see your reincarnation? If you really reincarnate, that would be great. I really want to see you, and I really want to thank you for spending so many years with me, and I know a lot. Ouyang Yi murmured to herself in front of the stone monument. Since she became obsessed with the song of King Qixao, she has come to the cemetery almost every once in a while and said something in her heart. To say that Gu Qingfeng has achieved Xiandao in this life, and has also done magical Taoism, and even reversed the Tao of heaven, speaking ups and downs. He has seen the master of the world, and now he has been taken away by Tiandao. Audiobook's www.yuukangshu.com. Back to my hometown when I was young, standing in my cemetery and looking at a young girl who expressed her thoughts on her tombstone, she felt an indescribable feeling inside. Looking at the expression of this little girl, thinking in her eyes. Gu Qingfeng shook her head slightly, could not help sighing, walked over and said. Little girl, I urge you to play less ancient serious songs in the future. Yang Yi, who was being sentimental, suddenly heard this sentence. Firstly, after reacting, he stared at the man who was embarrassed and replied displeasedly, Who are you? I want you to care. Who am I? This question asked Gu Qingfeng for a while and really didn't know how to answer it. Looking up at his tombstone, he suddenly felt a bit funny, saying, I am just passing by. Seeing you talking to yourself here, you can't bear it. Live here to persuade. In fact, your aunt is right, the ancient Sirius is just a sinner, after all, it is a demon after all, why do you? The voice didn't fall. Yang Yi turned around instantly, a delicate face was covered with frost, his eyes stared at Gu Qingfeng angrily, and coldly reprimanded, I warn you, dare to say a bad word about the king, don't blame Miss Ben for being rude to you. Yang Yi can tolerate her aunt saying that the king is a sinner, but absolutely no one else is allowed to say it. Maybe it was this stinking beggar that suddenly appeared to disturb the mood. Yang Yi didn't stay here, just glanced at the tombstone and turned away. Still young. Looking at the back of the little girl's departure, Gu Qingfeng thought about it, and followed it, wondering that since this girl is a disciple of the Yunxia school, it would be nice to see the old man in Huida. Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 3, Born Divine Power. After Su Ling left the cemetery, Gu Qingfeng followed Yang Yi while looking at the surrounding scenery. It used to be his hometown, and he vaguely remembers that it used to be a village, but now it has become mountains. I don't know if it's a change in history or a catastrophe. Looking around, many mountains are covered with a layer of dazzling colors. These should be matrix formations. Through the matrix formations, you can vaguely see the ancient villas on the mountains. The mountains are covered by array formations. Spirit pulse. After the ancient breeze knew that the catastrophe, like the rebirth of heaven and earth, all things would definitely recover, but he did not expect such a strong recovery. Even the barren hometown of that year had so many spiritual pulses. I was walking, Yang Yi stopped in front of me, turned around, stared at Gu Qingfeng with an unpleasant look, and asked, What are you doing with me? The ancient Qingfeng groaned for a moment and asked with a smile, Little girl, are you Yunxia's disciples? What is it? Obviously, because Gu Qingfeng said bad things about King Qixiao just now, so that Yang Yi was very unpleasant to see him, and his words were full of anger. So, in the cemetery, the elder Huida in your mouth must be the real Huida? And then? Yang Yi was still a cold response. Then? Gu Qingfeng raised a brow slightly and said, Little girl, this is the case. I and your elder Huida from Yunxia are old people, can you take me to see him? Old friend? Oh. When he heard of the deceased, Yang Yi laughed and asked with interest, when was elder Huida's deceased? When? Gu Qingfeng thought about it carefully, but the specific time was blurred, and responded, It's been a long time, almost a few hundred years. I heard that for hundreds of years. Yang Yi couldn't help but laughed, holding his arms, looking up at Gu Qingfeng up and down, and smiling, look at you like you're only in your 20s. Girl, since you are a practitioner, you should be clear that if you cultivate Jin Dan, you can stay young forever. Really? But Ms. Ben can't feel any breath of Jin Dan from you, let alone Jin Dan's breath. I can't feel even a little spiritual breath in you. You dare to say that you have cultivated Gold Dan's master? My repairs are useless. Oh. What a waste. Speak to hear. This is a bit complicated, one or two sentences can't be explained clearly. Complicated? I don't think you can make it, right? Yang Yi was furious and yelled, Did you really understand that Miss Jin Dan can really stay young forever if she is trained? Destroy, even if you can save your life, the internal organs of your body will also be exhausted. You don't know anything and you can learn to pretend to be a superior man. You are a dead liar. This. The ancient breeze could not be refuted, because the fact is true, but his situation is a bit special, and he can only lie that he knew Huidian a few years ago. But who knew what was going on? Yang Yi sneered, Dead liar, do the basic homework before the next deception. Elder Huida has not left the martial arts for nearly 10 years. I warn you that before, when you were disrespectful to the king while in the cemetery, I saw you as pitiful and didn't do anything to you. If you follow me again, don't blame Grandma for being rude to you." The ancient Breeze sighed in secret, really helpless. I looked around, there were mountains everywhere, and I really couldn't remember where the Yunxia faction was. Since this girl treats herself as a liar, Gu Qingfeng is too lazy to entangle it again, pondering to ask other people at that time. Really, the catastrophes have been going on for almost 100 years. Instead of decreasing, these scammers have become more and more. They are not pretending to be seniors who were injured in a catastrophe, or they are posing as reincarnation power, not repaired for nothing. It is the reincarnation. Ouyang left quickly at night. She saw so many scammers and was too lazy to deal with it, only to make her think that the dead scammer was still following her. What a reason. Ouyang suddenly didn't hit one place at night, didn't look at it, just reached out with a bounce, and Guanghua attacked directly. When she wanted to come, the dead liar was in a weak state, and she would roll in pain with such a spiritual force, but what she didn't think was that when she bounced by her own spiritual power, the dead liar was so light. He waved, and then there was no more, his own spiritual power broke up inexplicably. How is this possible? Ouyang Yi wondered if she was dazzled, and the unbelief popped up with a touch of spiritual power, which made her feel that the dead liar still only waved his hand, and that power of his power was broken and disappeared instantly. How could this be? This dead liar doesn't have a trace of spiritual power all over his body. He is not a practitioner at all, and his breath is so weak. How can he wave his own spiritual power with a wave of his own hand and collapse? Qinggu Qingfeng looked at her and said with a smile, "Girl, I didn't provoke you, how can you do this to me?" "Dead liar, who are you?" Ouyang Night wondered and asked. The ancient Breeze shrugged and smiled slightly, "I told you just now, but you don't believe it. You dead liar, Grandma Auntie wants to see what you have today." Ouyang Yi hummed coldly, leaping up, as if thundering like lightning, one leg swept across, opposite, the ancient Breeze did not hide, but stood here. When Ouyang Yi struck, he raised his arm gently. Snapped, clasped Ouyang Ye's ankle, smiled, "Little sister, is it a good repair?" I said. Gu Qingfeng loosened easily, Ouyang Yi pulled out and evacuated, and I was shocked on Jiao's face. She couldn't understand why the stupid beggar had no action, and she could lightly block her thunder leg. I didn't think much about it. Ouyang Yi continued to attack, and all kinds of martial arts were exerted, but it was useless. No matter how mysterious the moves she performed and how powerful the spiritual power was, they were all blocked by the lightness of Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng looked at her with a playful smile in her mouth and said, "Wugong is good." Abominable. Ouyang Yi leaped up and waved her fist, but the more she frightened, the more she felt more incredible. She felt that this stupid beggar was like a mountain. Even if she tried her best, she couldn't shake the slightest. Gu Qingfeng, who looked weak and embarrassed, stood there lazily, with one hand lightly dealing with the attacking Ouyang Yi, and laughed, "Girl, it's enough, even if I'm a real liar, you haven't it's necessary to be so unrelenting, and if I try again, I will fight back." "What if you fight back?" Ouyang Yi refused to accept. Indeed. Since she was young, she has been intelligent, superb, and extraordinary in understanding. She is the pride of all in the eyes of everyone. Whether it is cultivation or martial arts, she is the best of her peers. Today, she even looks like a weak-looking beggar. Nothing but how convincing her. With a sigh of rage, the powerful spiritual power in the body started to move, and the blue brilliance of the body bloomed wildly. When she saw her hands fluttering, the surging spiritual power was swallowed away like a tsunami. The ancient Breeze shook his head, feeling a bit helpless. When his arm was raised, he punched away. There was a thunderous sound, and the row of mountains and rivers that Ouyang Yi exhibited instantly collapsed and disappeared. She moaned, and the whole person retreated more than 10 meters. Then she stood firmly, staring in horror at the ancient Qingfeng, horrified. "Why is your physical strength so powerful?" Looking at the horrified look of this girl, Gu Qingfeng smiled happily and joked, "No way, who is born with our divine power. Born with divine power. Yang Yi looked at her with astonishment and suspicion. She once heard that the elders of Shermen said that people with special constitutions, because of the skeletal surprise, were born with incredible powers, but only heard that they had never met before. Could it be that the stinked beggar in front of him is the legendary natural power? What the are you? Yang Yi frowned deeply. Yu read a book www.yuyukeangshu.com, staring hard at the face of this stupid beggar who looked weak, but couldn't figure out how this guy's flesh was so arrogant. It was a natural power. No. This is unlikely. If it is born with divine power, it must be a treasure body. If it is a treasure body, then it must be the same as the arrogant son of heaven, and this guy looks like a legendary treasure body with an embarrassed look. Who am I? This question is more complicated. Gu Qingfeng smoothly picked a wild fruit from the big tree next to him and tasted it. Su felt that it was not bad, and picked some more, and responded, "What's the matter, sister? The two of us still have a little source." Then. Cut. Don't put gold on your face, grandma, and you dead liar have no origin. Sister, speaking, I was also a disciple of your Yunxia faction. I see and talk about my disciples. When I was a teacher, your Yunxia sent me because I was of poor qualifications, but my roots were not good, so I didn't accept me. Outsiders didn't let me do that. I asked my grandpa to tell grandma that I was pathetic, and finally let me do some sort of miscellaneous work. Later, Yunxia was sent out by you. The reason why Gu Qingfeng remembers Yunxia faction freshly is precisely because he was rejected by Yunxia faction. That made him realize for the first time in his life that there is an innate gap between people, and for the first time, he realized that the unfairness of the road is also the so-called spiritual route, real or fake. Yang Yi was a little skeptical, but it was just skeptical, because there were many disciples of Yunxia faction. She didn't know all of them, let alone a miscellaneous service, and asked, "Why did you get expelled while Yunxia faction was doing mixed service?" Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 4, Mutant Body. It should be a fight. At that time, a disciple bullied me, and I was severely beaten up. Later. I was kicked out. Gu Qingfeng remembers the memory of Yunxia when he was young, because it bears many of his first practice, first delivery, first fight, and first priest. The first double repair, until now these memories are still hidden in his mind. On the opposite side, Yang Yi looked suspiciously, unable to distinguish between true and false for a while, and asked, "Are you lying to me again? Aren't you saying that you are born with divine power? If you are born with divine power, we Yunxia sent those to pass power. The master will surely rush you to be a disciple. How can it be impossible for you to do miscellaneous service?" How to say? Gu Qingfeng actually picked a lot of wild fruits from the trees on the side of the road. Maybe it was a bit tired after just turning over. I sat down and ate wild fruits with a mouthful, and responded, "My situation is a bit complicated. Can't understand. I don't understand. Ha. I'm an inner disciple of Yunxia school, and I have read a lot of books since I was young." Yang snorted coldly and asked, "Do you dare let me check your situation?" "Just whatever you want. I don't know how many years I haven't eaten this bitter wild fruit. After eating hunger and thirsty, it's really refreshing." Yang came over, holding Gu Qingfeng's wrist, and sacrificed a sense of godness to investigate carefully. She was just this detective, and her exquisite and pretty face suddenly looked suspicious, because she found that Gu Qingfeng had no spiritual root at all, and there was no dantian, and the meridian was more complicated. No spiritual roots. Without dantian, the meridians are disordered. This happens only if the foundation fails. As an inner disciple of the Yunxia school, Yang Yi knew very well that when he was conceived in the innate realm, he would encounter the first threshold of the path of cultivation, which is also the foundation. Only if the foundation is successfully established can one continue to practice. Conversely, if the foundation is failed, the innate spiritual roots will collapse, dantian will lose its vitality, and gradually wither until it disappears, and the meridians will be damaged. This is still mild. If a person with bad luck fails to build a foundation, he may be violent on the spot. In this world, the failure of foundation building is very common. The reasons are very complicated. Some of the foundations are not stabilized, some of them are caused by palladium medicine, some of them are eager for quick success, and so many reasons will cause the failure of foundation building. And many more. If this guy fails to build the foundation, how could the physical body be so arrogant? Ouyang Yi continued to investigate the situation in Gu Qingfeng's body. The more she looked, the more she felt scalp tingling. The disordered meridians were as messy as the old tree vine roots. However, she was surprised that these meridians were chaotic. However, it is strange that all meridians are extremely wide, and the meridians throughout the body are unobstructed. What is more frightening is that the ancient Qingfeng's bones are very strange, and the root bones are harder and thicker than ordinary people. Isn't it a mutant body? Yes. Definitely is. The so-called abnormal body usually refers to the instability of the foundation that causes the foundation to fail when the foundation is being built. The powerful spiritual power will instantly destroy the inherent spiritual root and dantian will lose its vitality, but the disordered meridians will the abnormal impact of the spiritual force is wide, and the body's meridians are unobstructed, which causes the bones to be deformed. Therefore, the physical body is so powerful and powerful. Although the physical body of the mutant body is arrogant, the force is infinite, and the body's meridians are unobstructed, but because the spiritual roots disintegrate, the aura cannot be sensed, and it is impossible to breathe as if it had no nose. As a result of the practice, the deformed body is also called the foundation waste. There are very few people who have failed to produce a mutant body, even rarer than some legendary treasures. Of course, the rareness of rareness does not mean that there is no one. Yunxia faction has one, and now they even meet one. It turns out that you are the foundation waste. Oh no. It is a mutant body, After confirming that the ancient Qing foam was a waste of building foundation, Ouyang Yi looked a little angry and a little more pity in his eyes. Although she has not built a foundation herself, she has seen many people who failed to build foundation in these years. It is very clear what it means to fail to build a foundation. Even if there is an abnormal change during the foundation construction, the body that produces the abnormality is infinitely powerful, and it is impossible to practice from now on. Anomalies? The ancient breeze was a little bit crying, and he didn't expect that the little girl had been searching for a long time and found out a mutant body of rush. No spiritual root? The ancient breeze does not have a spiritual root, because he does not need a spiritual root because he senses the spiritual pressure root. He breathes in and breathes out, saying that the spiritual root, even the fairy root, even the fairy must stand aside. No dantian. Dantian, the ancient breeze, has already dried up and has no vitality, but it does not mean that there is no. On the contrary, every pit in his body and even his pores are dantian. Chaos meridian disorder, root bone surprise. This is not caused by the failure of building the base, but the supreme body that he passed through the trial of immortals and demons and worked hard through the fire of Juyuzu. But think about the foundation of his avenue was destroyed, the fairy throne was taken away, and he was brought back to its original form. Now the situation of this physical body is really similar to the abnormal body produced by the failure of building the base. Since this girl treats herself as a mutant, he is too lazy to explain anything. Hey, look at your looks weak, you first take a vitality Dan. Ouyang Yi took out a white jade bottle from the storage bag around his waist, poured a capsule of vitality and passed it. After thanking Gu Qingfeng, he ate it quickly. Now he is weak and it is time to supplement the vitality. It's really time for a vital energy Dan to come. Your encounter must be very. The failure to build a base is almost equivalent to abandoning people. For the martial arts, there is no training value anymore, and they are usually expelled. Some people who fail to build a base will eventually be driven out by the family. Looking at the ancient breeze in front of which the shawl radiates, extremely embarrassed, and his clothes are all dirty, Ouyang Yi guessed that he must have suffered the cold and warmth of the world after his foundation failure, especially looking at the ancient breeze eating the wild on the roadside. The fruit is still so delicious, which makes Ouyang Yi even more sad. She has eaten these wild fruits on the roadside, she can't swallow bitter at all, but he has eaten so much that she must be hungry. The little girl is a kind-hearted person. She looked at her eyes and began to get wet. She secretly wiped her tears and said softly, "You do ain't want to eat these wild fruits. My aunt's villa is in front. I'll take you first. Go fill your stomach." Oh. That's good. After all, Gu Qingfeng has lived for hundreds of years. He has seen everything in life between heaven and earth, and his eyesight is naturally very spicy. How can he not see that the little girl is pitiful of himself, and he was thinking about finding a place first. Take a bath and change into your new clothes. Since the little girl has compassion on herself, she can save the trouble of going elsewhere. I want to say that this little girl is really kind. After learning that the ancient Qingfeng is the foundation waste, not only has her attitude been much milder, her voice has also become softer, but she also took out the spiritual fruit in her storage bag. I wanted to inquire about Gu Qingfeng's encounter. After thinking about it or forgetting about it, people had failed to build the foundation. If I asked the encounter again, wouldn't it be equivalent to sprinkle salt on the wound, so Ouyang Yi simply asked the name. In this regard, Gu Qingfeng was happy and comfortable, following Ouyang walking and chatting at night, and soon came to the foot of a mountain. Although the mountain range in front of it is not very large, it is very exquisite. It can faintly see the beautiful scenery on the mountain. At the foot of the mountain stands a huge stone monument with the 4 characters of Yipin Villa. This is your aunt's villa. It's not small. The ancient Qingfeng looked carefully, and found that the entire mountain was covered by various array methods. There were auras that gathered, screen sounds, and a cool array of shades. Only the spiritual stones consumed each day to maintain the normal operation of these arrays were not a small fee. Many horse-drawn carriages were parked at the foot of Laoshan. Many people went in and out. They were chatting and laughing together in pairs, which seemed very lively. After Ouyang Yi walked into the villa, the aura in it was quite strong. If you want to come down the mountain, it should be a good spiritual vein. Looking around, the scenery of the villa is also quite beautiful. A lot. Why so many people? Of course, today the villa is a grand festival of music and art. My aunt invited a lot of famous musicians, even the most famous masters of Wenzhou in Xinjiang realm came. Musician, it turns out to be rhythm. There are 10 arts in Wuxian Tao. Martial arts, spells, formations, and amulets are all fairy arts, and the rhythm is one of them. Compared with other fairy arts, the introduction of the rhythm is more difficult and the mastery is more difficult. This thing has high requirements for talent and understanding. It belongs to the relatively cold fairy art, plus a beautiful rhythm can wash the soul and make you feel good. Pleasant, forgetting to worry, masters of rhythm can also deter monsters and monsters with rhythm. Therefore, the melody has been highly respected since ancient times. This stuff is suitable for all ages, and it is highly ornamental. If a famous song can pop out of the mood, it can definitely be immersive. Endless aftertaste. And today, Master Wenzhou will also play the famous song, Winds Up the Big Mountain. It's exciting to think about it. Howling Winds Up Dakingshan. When I heard the name of the song, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but think about it, because the name seemed familiar to him, because one of the songs he created in the past raised such a big wind, asking, which wind is a big wind? Of course it is the king's wind that blows up the big mountains. From all over the world, from ancient times to the present, who can create a famous song like the wind that blows up the big mountains? When mentioning King Qixiao, Ouyang Yi's cheeky face always showed a strong sense of worship and admiration, and said leisurely, the king has spent his entire life, leaving countless famous songs, but his musical accomplishments have long been mastered, more it's a realm that ordinary people can't understand. Although countless famous songs are left, many of them are too mysterious, and so far, few people can fully pop up. After a pause, Ouyang Yi went on to say, although Dakingshan was created when the king was young, the requirements for musical accomplishment are not very high, but not everyone can pop up the mood. I have heard many people play the wind-up Dakingshan, many of them are famous musicians, Yu reading books www.yuyukeangshu.com. But in our Xinjiang realm, only the master Wenzhou can play the essence of the first wind-up Dakingshan perfectly. Well. Gu Qingfeng rubbed his chin, nodded, and smiled, I have to listen well. Listen carefully, when the song sounds, listen quietly, as if you are in the realm. If you go back to the ancient times, you will witness the mighty scene of the kings in Dakingshan shaking the Duqing mountains with a wind. Ouyang Yi glanced at him and said seriously, although your foundation building failed, it is worthwhile today to hear Master Wenju playing the wind-blowing Dakingshan. Isn't it just a song, so exaggerated? Gu Qingfeng said silently, what's wrong? Did I fail to build the foundation and listen to the master's song? You guy. I'm so ignorant. Ha! Master Wenju played but the Wind Rose Dakingshan. The Wind Rose Dakingshan was created by the king when he was injured. When the king's Jindan collapsed in the same year, others are comparable. You are much miserable, but in the end you have stood up again, returned to Dakingshan, and killed the 7 sects of Dakingshan who did not stay. I want you to listen carefully to let you seriously appreciate the style of the king at that time. I hope you don't want to disheartened by the failure of the foundation. Ha 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 ha. I haven't heard anyone play the wind to make a big mountain for so long. Gu Qingfeng laughed. He did write a lot of music when he was obsessed with the rhythm. At that time, he occasionally played a few songs, but just as he said, he had never heard others play his own song. I hope old friends can collect more, vote for something or something. New books need support. UU Reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in UU Reading. Respect Chapter 5, Drunken High. Soon, under the arrangement of the little girl, Gu Qingfeng followed Xiaozhuang of the villa to take a bath. If you want to say that this villa is really very cozy, even the bathing areas are arranged in the same way. Not only there are hot springs to soak, there is a drizzle shower method on the head. After the shower operation, it is like drizzle from the sky. This not only sighed Gu Qingfeng, but now people really know how to enjoy it. When you think about your own practice, the aura of this world is very sparse, and the veins are occupied by demonism. Even the spirit stones are luxury jewelry. Sometimes it's better to fight for a spirit stone. A catastrophe goes on like a rebirth of heaven and earth, everything begins to recover, and the spirit veins are all over the place. The matrix method will not hurt the spirit when it is running. Everyone feels refreshed at every happy event. After taking a bath, Gu Qingfeng's mood was greatly relaxed. He took a few vitality dawn. Although his body was still weak, he was much better than when he was just awake, and his complexion gradually recovered. Put on the new clothes that Xiao brought, and it fits well. After wearing it, looking at herself in the bronze mirror, it feels strange. In the bronze mirror, he is tall and straight, with long black hair scattered randomly, a fair face, with sharp edges Ling Jun, a pair of narrow eyes, and the silence is as deep as the abyss. The ancient breeze touched his face, and he felt an indescribable feeling inside. I have no years of practice. To be honest, since Gu Qingfeng has tempered the flesh with 9 ancestors, he has not looked in a mirror for a long time, and he has forgotten what he looks like. I thought that we were also a famous handsome guy in Shaliba village, now, oh. Old. Although his appearance seems to be in his early 20s, and he is wearing a very young and brand new white clothes, he still has no youthful vigor, and some are only the deep twilight. Xiu Jin Dan can indeed stay young forever, but only with the youth of appearance, but the youth of heart. No matter how young you look, you can't conceal the traces left in my heart. Ugh. Xiao Xiaoyu sent a lot of fruits and seeds. Gu Qingfeng was eating and waiting, but after waiting for a long time without seeing Ouyang coming over, he was bored and went out for a walk. Earlier, I heard that the girl from Ouyang Yi said that there seemed to be an art festival here. There seemed to be a lot of music masters in the Qinyang realm. It was called a mess, and it really answered the old saying, it was just playing the piano. This can also be called a master. I think when I first played the rhythm, he played better than this. If a mysterious piece of music can pop into the mood, it can indeed make people dream back to the ages, but if it can't be played, it is simply torture. After all, the rhythm thing can really easily resonate with one's spirit. There are gardens everywhere in the villa, and there seems to be someone playing the piano in each garden. Gu Qingfeng listened and couldn't help but stop in front of a garden. It wasn't because the piano sounds were beautiful, but from the garden. The sound of the piano is so ordinary, it sounds like a beginner. The ancient breeze stopped because the sound of the piano inside made him laugh. The sound of the piano is intermittent. People who play the piano seem to be practicing. Every time they play the wrong thing, they stop, and then they play, and they make a mistake again, and so they go back and forth wrong more than 10 times, and the people who play the piano seem very persistent. Just keep playing and keep making mistakes in the same place. What a muscle. The ancient breeze could not hear it anymore, and went in looking for the sound of the piano. To his surprise, the 7 or 8-year-old Huangmao girl played the piano. The little girl is not tall and has blue hair. She looks very cute. Now she is standing in the gazebo and playing with her head crooked. Maybe she plays it wrong every time. The little girl looks very depressed, murmured, "Why do I play wrong every time I come here? Why on earth? My is obviously correct, the strings are correct, the rhythm is also good, isn't the magic trick used incorrectly?" Since the melody is known as one of the top 10 fairy arts, naturally it is not as simple as empty play. A wonderful piece of music, if it pops up, it may be pleasant or natural, but if it is played with spiritual power, it is like giving a piano music like the soul, it will be more vivid and mysterious. The reason why the rhythm can deter the demon is the effect of injecting spiritual power. A powerful rhythm is even more powerful than a terrifying magical spell. The little girl was very persistent and seemed a bit stupid and cute. She went back and forth dozens of times, and she made a mistake in the same place every time. It was really a disappointment. Gu Qingfeng walked over and laughed, "Little sister, yours is not wrong, the strings and rhythms are also correct, and the wrong is the use of spiritual tricks." What? When she heard someone talking, the little girl shouted in surprise. When she saw Gu Qingfeng, the little girl was more shy besides being surprised, and her face turned red immediately. She asked shamefully, Who are you what?" "Oh. I was passing by, and when I heard you play, come over and see." The little girl whispered, seemed to remember the words just now, raised her head again, and asked, "Brother, what did you just say? Did you use the magic trick wrong? You used the 4-string xiaoyu tactic just now, which is a bit heavy for the tune just now." Gu Qingfeng went into the gazebo and sat down, saying, "You might as well change to the stroking stack and use the 3-string small compound. Just look at it. Change to stroking, and then use Sanxian Ziafuju." The girl opened the music sheet in her hand and looked at it, responding, "But it's not like this on the music sheet. The sheet music is dead. People are alive. How do you know without trying?" The little girl crooked her head for a moment, and then looked at it with her eyes wide open for a long time. Then she played it with doubt and doubt. When she played the wrong tune just now, she changed her to stroking, and her magic trick also changed to Sanxian Ziafukyo, unexpectedly succeeded. Maybe I didn't expect it to be so smooth, or maybe I couldn't believe it was true. The little girl tried again, and it turned out again. The little girl looked at the music score and stared at Gu Qingfeng. "I can't figure out why I can talk about such a tune without following the score. Brother, are you a musician here?" Gu Qingfeng shook his head, signaled that he was not. "The elder brother must understand the rhythm well, right?" "Okay, I've played for a while before." "The elder brother's musical temperament must be high." "That is of course." Sitting in the gazebo, Gu Qingfeng raised Erlang's legs, snarled the seeds, and said with a grin, "I thought that when we played the rhythm, if I called second, nobody would dare to call first, there would be no world we will not play the tune." "Ah. Really, big brother, would you play, Flower Relentless, ? Flower Ruthless? This song Gu Qingfeng has never heard of it. Then. Ziyun is flying. Gu Qingfeng shook his head. He didn't hear this song. Then the little girl said a dozen songs in a row. He never heard one of them. Looking at the girl's doubtful look, Gu Qingfeng's expression was quite awkward. Blowing up with cowhide. Brother, don't you say that there is no song you can't play in the world? Why, you can't even play the famous song of Sister Su Shi. Who is Su Shi? Gu Qingfeng thought for a while, and was unfamiliar with the name. Sister Su Shi is Jiner's most admired musician. The ancient breeze Su Su thinking about this Lao Shitzi may be a musician who only emerged in recent years. Brother, what songs do you usually play? Usually. Gu Qingfeng thought for a while and said, the tunes I usually play may be a bit old for you. I don't know if you have heard them. For example, the powerful tunes of the magic ancestors, He Qinyu, Sima Shinkong will play. The old ancestors of the magic rock, He Qinyu, Sima Shinkong, they are all the predecessors of the ancient times, their songs are too weird, Jean Eyre does not like to listen. The little girl crooked her head. After thinking about it for a while, blinking his eyes, he said, the songs of those seniors in the ancient times, Jean Eyre only likes the world goddess and the emperor Qishao. Song of the King of the Sky. Gu Qingfeng raised an eyebrow and grinned, and said, don't say, what I am best at is the song of the ancient Sirius. Big brother. The little girl frowned, looking skeptically, you can't even play the song of Sister Su Shi, and you say that you are good at King Qishao's song. The king's song is better than Su. My sister-in-law's songs are much more rare. Ha 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 ha. I can't guarantee to play other people's music, but to say the music of King Qishao, I can play with my eyes closed, the music is all artistic. Big brother is bragging again, my grandfather did not dare to brag about the king's music, and he could not boast of 10 moods. What's wrong, your little girl doesn't believe it. Gu Qingfeng got up, shoved the spirit fruit into his pocket, clapped his hands, and smiled, I'm in a good mood today, let me show you. After taking the guqin from the little girl's hand, he tried to play a few melodies. Su is too rusty to touch the piano for too long. Big brother, what are you playing, messy, and how big brother do you play empty, why not use the magic trick? The little girl reminded, if a song is not injected with spiritual power, it is like no soul, like life, it can't play the mysterious mood of the song at all. Oh, you look young and know a lot. The little girl's guqin belongs to an ancient banana leaf harp. There are some broken lines on the surface, and it should be some years. Gu Qingfeng fiddled with the strings and said, but not all the tunes can only pop out of the mysterious mood, the empty bomb can sometimes pop the essence of a song. I tried to play a few more melody, and after I became familiar, I started to play. It was a song called Drunk in Bihai. Yu Reading Books www.yuukangshu.com. When he was obsessed with music, he wrote a lot of songs. This Drunk in Bihai is not the most mysterious of all the songs, let alone the most artistic conception. The reason why he wants to play this Drunk in Bihai is pure love. Secondly, his current situation is similar to that of writing the Drunk in Bihai. In that year, he was a frivolous young man, offended many people, and counted the number of injuries. Among them, the number of repairs was lost 8 or 9 times. On one occasion, he was besieged by a master of the Xian dynasty and Yuanshan was exhausted. I almost lost my life. I had been hiding in Bihai for drinking during that time, so I got this drunk in high later. Now what? I was judged by heaven, the foundation of the highway was destroyed, and the throne of the fairy devil was taken away. Now, after many years, I replayed this drunk in Bihai, but it was filled with emotion. And this is exactly the most wonderful part of the rhythm, it is easy to seduce memories and touch the deepest emotions in the heart. This is also the root cause of Gu Qingfeng's indulgence in rhythm. The song was over and my thoughts flew back from that year. Gu Qingfeng exhaled a breath, shook his head slightly, and was somewhat dissatisfied. I haven't played with this thing for a long time, and I really can't find the feeling of that year. The little girl next to has been listening carefully, the small face looks abnormally surprised, staring at Gu Qingfeng with big eyes, the look is like looking at a monster, lingering there as if losing her soul, looking in horror. Eye-opening. It's really eye-opening. A surprised voice came, and Gu Qingfeng looked around, only to see an old man wondering when he was standing in the garden. Yu Reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu Reading. Respect Chapter 6, Akamiko. The old man must have white hair and wear a very clean robe. Standing at the gate of the garden at this moment, a pair of muddy eyes stared at Gu Qingfeng with an incredible look. He also looked quite excited. The muscles in the corners of his mouth were shaking slightly. The old man has been learning the famous song left by King Xiao Xiao in his whole life, and this drunken man has heard many people play it. He has played it countless times before he heard the drunken man played by the sun. Clear sea, I know there are mountains outside the mountains, there are days outside the mountains. It's incredible, it's incredible. When the little girl saw the old man, she ran to the grandfather and kindly called. The ancient breeze faintly smiled, and said, "The old man is ridiculous. Fallen? No." The old man thought that he knew a little bit about the rhythm before he heard the sun playing the drunken blue sea. Whether it was or the strings and the rhythm, it was amazing. The most amazing thing was that the sun didn't use it. A spiritual trick, just an empty bombard of drunken blue sea, but it can show the essence of it, immersive, understand, more like a dream back to ancient times, and witnessed the vicissitudes of the king when she lived in the blue sea. It really made the old man big eye-opening, admired by the five bodies. The old man said a lot of praises, and Gu Qingfeng sat next to the gazebo pillar, just smiling, but there was no humility anymore. "Grandpa, this big brother, really so great. When the empty bomb is drunk in the blue sea, you can display the essence of it." The old man nodded and admired. This son's temperament is so high, it is rare, and the old man is ashamed. "Say, old man," he arched and asked, "I haven't asked my son to surname his first name." Lao Gu Qingfeng stood up, packed up the melon seeds on the table, and responded softly, "Last name, Clean Breeze. Ancient Breeze." The old man chanted the name and thought about all the musical wizards he knew, but he didn't have any impression of the name, and it was not easy to ask carefully, arching, "I just heard that the sun played a drunken groan in the blue sea." The old man's eyes were wide open, and I wonder if the old man can enjoy his face and drink a few drinks. A few drinks. Gu Qingfeng pondered that when he left, he didn't say hello to Ouyang Yi. I don't know what happened to the girl. After thinking about it or forgetting it, he responded, "I want to drink a few drinks, but a friend is waiting for me, have a chance to say it again." Gu Qingfeng walked over, rubbed the little girl's hair, returned Gu Qing back, and said, "Little girl, you can continue to practice the piano. I will go first, elder brother." Looking at the back of Gu Qingfeng's hurry to leave, the old man repeatedly exclaimed, "I can't imagine that I can meet young people with such profound knowledge in music. Grandpa, is this elder brother's temperament really so powerful? Is your accomplishment really inferior to him?" The little girl has never heard Grandpa comment on a person like this, even if she is the most admired sister Su Shi. "Grandpa, I have never given such a high evaluation, some can't believe it." Grandpa, is ended exaggerating. Grandpa said nothing exaggerated. When he played just now, whether it was or string, it was wonderful. The most important thing was that he didn't use any magic tricks. This young man's temperament is absolutely unfathomable. Grandpa couldn't say that he might be a bit overwhelmed. Ah, how does this brother compare to sister Su Shi? This. Grandpa dare not conclude that girl Su is a prodigy of musical tunes in the world, and the only master who can bring the mysterious tunes of the king out of the artistic conception. As for the ancient protagonist's musical accomplishment, there is no way in which Grandpa really knows. By the way, Grandpa, when Gina was playing the song of Sister Su Yi, she kept making mistakes while playing the three-leaf plum tunes, but my elder brother taught me to change my in spirits, and it's easy to play. Oh. Anything else? The old man took the score, held the white beard, and took a closer look. The more he frowned, the more shocked he looked, and then he sat in the gazebo and tried to play it. After playing it, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. But still couldn't hold back the excitement inside. This song was written by Miss Su carefully, and it is a perfect work. It is normal that you can't play that three-leaf plum tune just now. One is that you haven't done enough, and the second melody hasn't reached that level. You don't understand many complicated tricks, but I didn't expect to change the 4-string xiaoyujiu to the stroking and stacking style, and then played it with the 3-string xiaofuju. Even the tune of the 3-leaf plum can be popped up, not without any sense of disobedience, but it seems more mysterious than before. It's incredible. Maybe it was so exciting that the old man had some incoherent words, took a few deep breaths in a row, sorted out his thoughts, and then calmed down, saying, the ancient son's temperament is afraid. I'm afraid it is more than Grandpa imagined. It's even more unpredictable. Compared to Sue girl, it's just high or low. Sister Sue sure said last time that if she had time, she would come to this music festival. The little girl said gently, I don't know if Sister Sue sure will come. If you do, let my sister see that big brother. If Miss Sue learns that her tune has been modified more mysteriously than before, I don't know how she feels. The old man was holding a white beard, and still couldn't help but wonder, I don't know what kind of ancient boy is, and the depth of the sound, it is incredible, incredible. After Sun left the garden, Gu Qingfeng returned in the same way. Just when he returned to the bathing place, he saw Ouyang pacing back and forth with his arms, looking angry, looking angry. Obviously, the little girl was getting angry. Gu Qingfeng walked quietly, deliberately to tease her, and asked, Sister, who are you waiting for? Who are you? Ouyang Yi glanced at the ancient breeze and said coldly, Miss Ben is annoying, get away. Gu Qingfeng groaned with a smile, oh, I don't know you so soon. Okay. Good familiar voice. Ouyang turned around and looked at Gu Qingfeng carefully. The more she looked, the more familiar she looked. The little girl suddenly exclaimed, You. Are you Gu Qingfeng? I thought you forgot me. You. Where did your dead guy go, knowing I don't know where I am looking for you? Where else can I go to find you? Gu Qingfeng yawned, stretched his waist, and said, You leave me alone and there is no figure. I took a bath and waited for you for a while, I haven't seen you yet, I can only come to you. You. Ha. Ouyang Yi wanted to rebuke it severely, but think about it and blame himself when he left. Forget it, let me go this time, but... Ouyang Yi gazed at Lu Qingmei with a strange look at Gu Qingfeng, looking at it, and also evaluating. I didn't expect you guy to be quite handsome after bathing and dressing, but, why doesn't it always feel wrong? What's wrong? Gu Qingfeng raised a brow, opened his arms and glanced at himself, but found nothing wrong. It feels weird, it's impossible to say. Ouyang Yi pondered deeply, she always felt that Gu Qingfeng had a special feeling on her body, how to say it, like, a pool of standing water. Correct. It's just a pool of standing water with no vitality at all, and it's dark, but it's not like the old seniors who have practiced for hundreds of years, it's more like a kind of quietness, it's a kind of uncomfortable quietness, to be precise a very scared solitude. Is like the quietness in the deep sea, more like the terrible silence in the vast darkness. Strange. How could this be? Then, a shout came, interrupting her thoughts. Every night, I have been looking for you for a long time. It turns out that you are here. In response, a young man who was 20 years old looked extraordinary, dressed in Dan Luobao clothing, with a green flame jade belt around his waist. At a glance, he was from a big family, both in the eyebrows and in the eyes. With a kind of arrogance. Li Sen. When I saw the young man, Ouyang Yi's eyes flashed with disgust, and he said angrily, You are here too. Your aunt's villa is going to hold a grand art festival today, and you and brother Yunhong are going to perform on stage, so I am here, I have been waiting for you for a long time, let's go together. No, let's go together. Ouyang looked at Gu Qingfeng at night and said, Let's go. Every night, who is he? The young man named Li Sen seemed alert when he saw Gu Qingfeng. You care. Every night. What Li Sen was about to say, Ouyang Yi turned around and said impatiently, I said Li Sen, are you annoying, just hang around me all the time in the martial arts, and why do you hang around me? What a nuisance. Tell me who he is. I don't bother you. Ouyang was pulling away with the ancient breeze at night. At first glance, Ouyang Yi held this strange man's hand. If Li Sen realized something, he in his eyes and yelled, Yay, isn't he the Qian boy you said at first sight that made you fall in love at first sight? You can't control it. No. You must tell me. Ouyang Yi is almost going to collapse. Since he joined Yinxia Pai, this Li Sen has been entangled with himself for almost 2 years. He can't shake off like a dog's skin plaster, staring at Li Sen, disgusted. What do you want to do? Well. I just want to know who he is. Li Sen was aggressive as a sharp sword, and asked, "Is he the Qian boy?" "Okay. Since you want to know so much, I'll tell you." Ouyang Yi took Gu Qingfeng's arm and said angrily, "Yes, he was the Qian boy I said to you at first sight. Why? Well, are you satisfied?" "What?" Li Sen was shocked, and then shook his head. Lisa said, "Impossible. I have checked long ago that the Qian son you said is the dragon among people." Yu Reading Book www.yuukangshu.com repaired to a strange height. Xiandao, all 10 arts are involved, especially Lei, and it is the leader among them. If there is such a person, why have I never heard the name of Qian in the Qinyang realm? When did I tell you that Qian is our Qinyang realm? Ouyang Yi reached out and held Gu Qingfeng's arm, and sometimes fixed a belt and a collar for Gu Qingfeng, making intimate moves like he seemed to want to stimulate Li Sen, and said, "If he wasn't Qian who made me fall in love at first sight, do you think I would do this?" "You." Li Sen was irritated, staring at Gu Qingfeng, and yelled, "Are you really Qian?" "I." The ancient breeze looked at Ouyang Yi, and Ouyang Yi quietly winked. The look seemed to be saying, "Hey, cooperate with you." Gu Qingfeng was quite speechless, but he did not refuse. After understanding, he stood up, pointed at Li Sen, and crossed his mouth with a playful smile, pretending to be an arrogant gesture. Zhang Kuang said, "Yes, boy, I am Qian. Dare to grab my Li Sen's woman? You find. Die." Looking at his sweetheart holding the man's arm, Li Sen was full of anger, and even his voice came out from the teeth with a cold roar. "Who is your woman? Li Sen, you dare to say that in the future, don't blame grandma for being rude to you." Ouyang Yi snorted and said, "And I can also tell you that I won't be long before I will Yan Yanzi became a lover, and then began double cultivation, so, don't hang on me again." He said. Ouyang Yi left Gu Qing's limelight without returning. Yu Reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu Reading. Respect Chapter 7, Fake Lover. After turning into a lively hallway, Ouyang Yi quickly pulled out Gu Qingfeng's hand, and deliberately looked backwards, and found that Li Sen hadn't followed him, so he took a breath and glanced at the ancient Qingfeng. Said, "Hello, don't get me wrong, I just held your arm just to get rid of Li Senator. It has no other meaning, so don't think about it." Misunderstanding? Gu Qingfeng casually cuddled the seeds and gently smiled. "I'm not a 3-year-old child, how can I misunderstand?" "That's good." Ouyang Yeto passed an admiring look, and then reminded him very seriously, "But after entering the venue, can't you talk nonsense? Do you know that today's Villa Art Festival held in the villa is all famous in Xinjiang? Master of the arts, when you sit next to me, just lower your head and eat." "No problem." The ancient breeze hasn't eaten good food for a long time, thinking about it before eating a big meal. "I didn't expect you to be quite funny. In this case, rest assured. Since I brought you in, I will definitely make you full." Gu Qingfeng smiled, but said nothing. After Ouyang Yi repeatedly told him, he took him into the venue. Don't say. The venue was quite like that. The huge venue was shrouded in 7 or 8 formations. The venue was not only rich in spirit but also very elegant. It was surrounded by antique lofts, and there were exquisite tables below. The chair, in the center, is a circular platform, which should be the place to play. There are really many people in the conference hall. There are old and young, male and female, get together in 2s and 3s, some are talking and laughing, some are exchanging rhythms. Ouyang Yi found an old man, like the manager here. The two talked for a while, then took Gu Qingfeng to a table and chairs on the west side and sat down. There were many delicious dishes on the table, but many of them were it was some messy spirits, but Gu Qingfeng was a little disappointed. He was still thinking of eating something, but now it seems that there is no hope. I'm fine, there is wine to drink. The ancient breeze poured a glass for himself and tasted it. The taste was really bad, but he could make it up. Hey, eat yourself first, I'll say hi to some seniors. Ouyang got up at night, was about to leave, and did not know who he saw. He suddenly said, why did Yi Hui's nasty ghost come, and he was with Li Senior? What happened? Gu Qingfeng followed Ouyang Ye's gaze and saw two young men and a woman standing at the door. Among them, the man was Li Sun, the younger brother of Yang Yang who had been entangled outside. There was also oppositely Senator a dressed young woman flirting. Nothing, just seeing a woman I hate the most. Ouyang yelled at her mouth, and was very upset, and then suddenly realized what, with a look of anxiety, immediately worried, it's over. Li Sens will definitely treat Yi Hui say I brought the Qi Yan boy, what to do next? He said. Ouyang Yi looked regretful, and patted his forehead, damn. Why did I say that Qi Yan, then, what should I do now? Gu Qingfeng was sitting on a chair leisurely, leaning Erlang's legs, drinking red fruits, drinking wine, and seeing Ouyang Ye's anxiety and remorse, he said, you just say I'm not the red inflammation of lousy, it won't be a problem if the sun isn't. You don't understand Yi Hui, this nasty ghost. If I say you are not Qi Yan, she will be ridiculous. By then, the entire Yunxia faction will know. The ancient breeze shook his head, some couldn't understand. Ouyang paced back and forth at night, then stared at Gu Qingfeng for a while, and said, hey, surnamed Gu, you can continue to pretend to be Qi Yan. Why? Su hasn't had a drink for a long time. Gu Qingfeng drank one cup after another, drinking more and more, but Ouyang Ye's words made him very puzzled, and said, why is it so troublesome that you invite the Qi Yan son? Just fine. There is no Qi Yan boy at all. No Qi Yan boy? Gu Qingfeng wondered more and asked, I remember listening to that Li Sun outside, you seem to fall in love with Qi Yan boy at first sight. Why do you say no now? Why are you so stupid? Let me tell you so, Qi Yan is completely a fictional person and doesn't exist. When I heard this, Gu Qingfeng was even more confused. He changed his posture and asked with interest, I said, sister, are you okay with your brain? You said that you are fine to imagine what a non-existent person does. You have a problem in your head. Ouyang Yi stared viciously and said, I was forced to do nothing, okay. In Yunxia sent Li Sun and several other disciples all around me. In order to let them die, I had to say that I had a sweetheart. So he created a non-existent Qi Yan boy. Just to let those teenagers who pursue you die. It's not all because of this, this is just the second, the most important thing is Yi Hui's nasty ghost. Gu Qingfeng looked at the dressed young girl standing at the door and said, if I look right, then I should be a woman, shouldn't I pursue you? What nonsense do you say? Ouyang Yi said angrily, you don't know. Since I joined Yunxia school, this Yi Hui has always looked at me very unpleasantly, and often opposes me, always looking for my troubles, especially when I made up a Qi Yan son proclaiming that he was my confidant. This nasty ghost searched the whereabouts of Qi Yan son everywhere and always questioned whether Qi Yan son really existed. Why should she question for no reason? This. Ouyang Yi looked a little embarrassed, and hesitated for a while before responding, this is also blamed for my vanity at the time, and the fictional Qi Yan is too perfect, saying that he is among people. The dragon, the masters of Xiandao 10 arts are all proficient, especially Lei, is the leader among them. The ancient breeze shook his head silently. Hey, doan't look at me with this kind of look, you doan't know Yi Yi and you doan't know who she is. The nasty ghost has always shown affection in front of me since he hooked up with a Yunhong, saying Yunhong what happened to my brother's art, can you say that I can tolerate this kind of thing? So I will make up a dragon Qi Yan in one person. I heard that the ancient Qin Feng here was almost a bit clear, and he looked up and drank the wine in the glass, and said. Look, I understand that, right? The reason why you fictionally created a Prince Qi Yan, one of them is to use Qi Yan to make those who pursue you die, and the other is that Yi Hui finds a person with high temperamental attainments. And, you don't want to lose to her, so you say that your fictitious Qi Yan son is the dragon among people, and all the 10 arts of Xiandao are proficient, especially the music art. Ouyang Yi nodded his head fiercely and said, Yi Hui, the nasty ghost has always doubted the authenticity of Qian's son. He has forced me to bring Qian's son in public several times, but I have never been able to bring it back. I can't get by, but Yi Hui can't catch any of my handles, but just now I tried to get rid of Li Sen. I lied that you were the son of Qi Yan, and now Li Sen must tell Yi Hui about it. Ouyang Yi continued, if I now say that you are not a Qi Yan son, Yi Hui's nasty ghost will surely seize it and go to Yunxia to send around, saying that there is no Qi Yan's son in this world, everything it's all my fiction, by then Are you going to sweep your face by then? Although Ouyang didn't want to, she had to admit that it was true. She took a peek at Yi Hui and Li Sen who were standing at the door. She seemed to have come to this side and said quickly, "Hey, you can help me, don't forget that I am your life-saving benefactor. If it weren't for me, you might have starved to death in the cemetery." Starved to death in the cemetery. Gu Qingfeng shook his head and smiled bitterly. He poured a glass of wine with a jug, put it to his mouth, sipped it gently, frowned, and asked, "Okay, let me be your life-saving benefactor, help you. It's not a big deal to be busy, but sister, I don't even know who your fictitious Qi Yan is, and I will say what to do when I say. You were also right when I worshipped the king of Xiao Xiao in the cemetery. What happened? So you admire King Qi Xiao, right? It's true. You must have heard the story of King Qi Xiao in his youth, too. I originally understood something, but I could hear Ouyang Yi say that Gu Qingfeng was confused again. Yu read the book www.yuyukeungshu.com and asked, "Does this have anything to do with King Qi Xiao?" I. Well, it's okay to tell you up to now, and I'm not afraid of your jokes. Miss Yan's fictional lover, Qi Yan, is based on the young King Qi Xiao. Gu Qingfeng, who was drinking, almost didn't pass through this sentence, and looked at Ouyang Yi suddenly. Hey, don't stare at me like this, isn't it embarrassing? Can't I worship the king of the sky? Can't I admire the king? Can my dream lover be the king of the sky? Ouyang did not feel blushing or shy at night, but she was quite righteous. In fact, the reason why she fictionally created a Qi Yan's son may be to make those who pursue her die, or to not want to lose to Yi Hui, but more importantly, she wants to give herself a spiritual comfort. Since she played the king's song, she gradually became obsessed with the king, and the world has been circulating the reincarnation of the king, so she has thought about it, thinking that the king may one day really reincarnate. What can Gu Qingfeng say about this? Except for his bitter smile and helplessness, he can't say anything. Damn! Here comes Li Sen and Yi Hui. Can't you help? Gu Qingfeng glanced, and sure enough, the girl dressed up as a flower and Li Sen came to this side, and glanced at Ouyang Yi like an ant on a hot pot, and said, "Well, I'll help you, just not posing Qi Yan, a fictitious boy based on the young King Xiao Xiao as a prototype. Don't say, you're really looking for the right person." No problem, I'll help you. Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 8, Yunhong. Thank you. You can rest assured that after the completion of the matter, I will invite you to eat the mountains and the sea, and I will find some decent things for you, so that you will no longer wander around. Talking, Ouyang Yi reached out and pulled a hair strand from Gu Qingfeng's head, and then dragged one of his hair strands, tied the two hair strands together, and hit another trick with a wave of hand, followed by the hair turns into two hair-like rings. Well, wear it on your hands so that we can secretly communicate with each other. Then you will listen to my orders. Gu Qingfeng took a hairline ring and was quite surprised, and smiled, "You think quite thoughtfully. At that time, you must remember not to talk nonsense. Everything is under my command. I will let you do what you do. Otherwise, it will be bad to get out of the way. Okay, don't talk and hurry up. Put them on." Gu Qingfeng glanced at the hair ring, smiled, and put it on the index finger. At this moment, a woman's voice came from behind. "Oh, I thought I was dazzled, isn't this Sister Ouyang? Yi Hui doesn't look very big, as if she was in her early 20s, but she is very mature in dress, and the accessories on her body are really more than one, with a blue emerald necklace hanging around her neck. He wore 4 bracelets on his wrists, and 5 or 6 rings on both hands. He wore heavy makeup and twisted his waist. He was not like a martial arts disciple, but more like a sloshing woman. I heard Li Sen just said that the Qi Yan boy who fell in love with you at first sight finally appeared, is it true?" Ouyang Yi ignored her, and Yi Hui said to herself, sitting on the opposite side, and glanced at the ancient breeze, she couldn't help covering her mouth and laughing. "Yi Hui! What are you laughing at? Ouyang Yi hates this woman in front of her. How much she hates. Every time she hates Yi Hui, she has the urge to kill. Is this guy the dragon Qi Yan, son of the person you said? Is it him? He he he. It's a real laughter, he he he. Yi Yehui was sitting on a chair, fiddling with the ring on her finger while looking at Gu Qingfeng with a smile, and her words were full of mockery. I said, Sister Ouyang, the Qi Yan son in your mouth is the dragon among the people who are proficient in the arts of Xiandao. Even if you are looking for someone to impersonate, at least you must find a decent point. Not to mention being handsome, at least you must be handsome upright. I do know what you think, how to find such a person who has no temperament and no spirit and who is impersonated by your fictitious Qi Yan boy. Fiction. It's funny, Sister Yi Hui, you haven't heard the name of Qi Yan, you can only show that you have little knowledge. Ouyang Yi sneered, still posing. Sorry, Sister Yi Hui, sit, the boy in front of you is Qi Yan. When the two women met each other, Yi Hui looked at each other, and it was not a fuel-saving lamp, ridicule or irony, and Ouyang Yi did not show weakness, it was obviously fake. When she said, her face was not red and gasped. Not guilty at all, the proud look, the confident tone, as if sitting next to her is really Qi Yan, this has to admire Gu Qingfeng, the little girl's acting skills are real. Sister Ouyang, you don't have to be acting, do you just envy Brother Yunhong to become an acquaintance with me? That's why I made up a fake acquaintance for myself, haha, it really makes people want to laugh. I will envy you. Ouyang Yi seemed to have heard the happiest joke in the world. She laughed very sadly, and then stared at Yi Hui and sneered, please, Sister Yi Hui, don't forget, Yunhong brother started pursuing me from the beginning. It was I who ignored him and he became an acquaintance with you. He also said that I was envious. You really can tell jokes. You. Maybe it was Ouyang Yi's words that hit Yi Hui's key, making her face gloomy and sullen. Gu Qingfeng was still sitting leisurely beside the chair, there was a sip of drinking wine, and the two women talked to each other. He shook his head, thinking that the private life of the young people was too chaotic. At this moment, a commotion suddenly appeared on the court. Gu Qingfeng looked around. The commotion seemed to be a man. The man looked like he was about 30 years old. He was dressed in white and looked like Yushu. He seemed very famous. At that time, many young girls and girls in the field adored the eyes of worship, and the men looked polite and greeted everyone. He also followed a young man beside him. Gu Qingfeng knew him, and it was Li Senior, he, Brother Yunhong is here. Yi Hui got up and waved his hand. The man in white and Li Sin came over. Maybe it was intended to let everyone know that the musical genius Yunhong was his lover. When Yunhong came over, Yi Hui naturally pulled him. Go to your side and hold Yunhong's arm. Sister Ouyang, meet again. Ouyang nodded at night and asked, Brother Yunhong, there are so many seats on the court, why are you sitting here? Oh, why aren't you welcome? Yunhong smiled slightly, then looked at Gu Qingfeng next to him, and said, listen to Brother Li Sin, that the Qi Yan son who only smelled his name came, so I want to know, and I also want to know what is the sacredness of the Qi Yan son who made Ouyang sister and sister at first sight. Yi Hui poured wine for Yunhong and laughed, brother, didn't you know that Qi Yan was a fictional person from the beginning of Master Ouyang? She was afraid we didn't believe it, so I deliberately found one today. The guy is posing, Brother, now you know what kind of Sister Ouyang you liked before. Sister Yi Hui, keep your mouth clean, and I repeat, he is the Qi Yan boy who fell in love with me at first sight. Ouyang Ye's mood was obviously beginning to get upset, and she felt more and more that this incident was a mistake from the beginning. If she didn't tell Li Sin that this guy was Qi Yan, then nothing would happen, although Yi Hui, this nasty ghost, has been questioning, but she can't find a substantial handle. As long as she insists on the existence of Qi Yan, she can't say anything. But why did I lie that this guy was a Qi Yan boy when my head was hot? What should we do now? Wait a minute, what if Yi Hui, the nasty ghost, proves this guy is Qi Yan? How to end when that happens? I have a headache. How to do it? You said that it was not good to find anyone, why did you find this guy to impersonate? Remembering that this guy is still a foundation waste, Ouyang Ye's intestines are regretful. How to do? I can only brace myself and die. Never let this happen. Cannot reveal any horse feet. With this in mind, Ouyang Yi crossed his heart, pretending to be a smiling face, also sitting beside Gu Qingfeng, holding his arms, smiling, and said, Changfeng, let me introduce it to you, have you met Li Sen? The woman's name is Yi Hui, and this one is Yun Hong. They are all disciples of Yinxia faction like me. Breeze? Oh. Sister Ouyang. Yi Hui has been tinkering with her ring there, sometimes taking it off and putting it on, sometimes showing her hand to show it on purpose, laughing. I remember just now that you know he is very clear where is Qi Yan. That's right. Sun Qi Yan is just his nickname. His surname is ancient and his name is clean, isn't it? Oh, Sister Ouyang, until now you are still supporting and not admitting, haha. Yi Hui was about to say something. At this moment, Yun Hong sitting next to her laughed, since Ouyang said this is Qi Yan, then he must be, I believe what Ouyang said. Yi Hui did not seem to be thinking of Yun Hong saying so, just ready to speak, Yun Hong waved and interrupted him, then looked at Gu Qingfeng, and crossed his mouth with a playful smile. Listen to Ouyang Yi, sister-in-law, Qi Yan possesses the wealth of heaven, and his comprehension is unparalleled. He is also known as the dragon among people. Gu Qingfeng looked like a very relaxed and free look. It has been this way from beginning to end. He has been leaning on Erlang's legs, eating linguo, and drinking wine. When Yun Hong asked, he passed it immediately. Secret to Ouyang Yi, hello, now you are not the guy who failed to build the foundation, but the dragon among the people, so be proud, be arrogant, be very cold, and the answer must be arrogant. Okay. Gu Qingfeng was really funny. Since the little girl said so, he could only do it, raised his chest, poured himself a glass of wine, looked at Yun Hong, pretending to be arrogant, and raised his chin. The look of the elder brother and my second child, Yu reads www.yuyukangshu.com provocatively, I am the Qi Yan boy who is known as the dragon among people, what's the matter? Don't you agree? It is good. That's it. Keep it up. Continue to be crazy. Ouyang Knight cast a look of admiration. Oh. Yun Hong picked up a glass of wine, put it to his mouth, and chuckled, I heard that you are involved in all 10 arts of Xiandao, especially the rhythm, and it is the leader among them. I wonder if I can ask for advice. Ask for advice? Gu Qingfeng smiled and replied, no problem, just ask for advice. The voice fell, and there was a secret whisper from Ouyang Yi, damn it. How can you agree? He is obviously trying to test you. The ancient breeze also responded with a secret whisper, didn't you say to make me crazy, arrogant? I made you crazy, I didn't let you promise anything, if you show your feet in a while and let them reveal that you are posing, I will not face anyone in the future. Rest assured, isn't it just to ask for the rhythm, the master is a master in this area, and will not reveal his feet. Poke you a fart master. Grandma Auntie has been miserable by you this time. How to do? Will you retreat with this guy? Do not. No. If this is to leave, wouldn't it be self-defeating? Yi Hui, this nasty ghost will definitely. Oh my god. What if I do and leave? Once Yun Hong talks about the rhythm, it will definitely show up. How to do? Ouyang Yi was going crazy, and was about to collapse, even more regretfully trying to strangle himself. Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 9, Bucket Knowledge. Today Yipinshan Village is holding a music art conference. There are a lot of older and younger musicians from Qinyang realm. Ouyang Yi's fame is still relatively small in the circle of musicians, although she has so far none of them has composed their own tunes, but at a young age, they can pop out 1 or 2 tunes of the Emperor Qishao, which is rare among young musicians. Thanks to Yi Hui, everyone knows a little about her. Some people, like Yi Hui, think that the dragon Qi Yan in the legendary man in his mouth may be a fiction. After all, if the wizards who are proficient in the 10 arts of the immortal really exist, we must not have heard of them. Of course, some people think that they may be true. There are no wonders in the world. Not every wizard is very high profile, maybe there are also wizards. Very low key. At this moment, I heard that the famous Sun Yunhong was going to ask the Qi Yan boy for help. Everyone rushed to see if the Qi Yan boy was really the dragon among the people as Ouyang Yi said. Sister Ouyang, it's too late to regret it now. If you are exposed in public later, then you will be shameless. Oops, many people treat you as a goddess. If everyone knows that their goddess has been lying to deceive everyone, what do you think they think? Yi Hui has always seen Ouyang Yi not pleasing to the eye, because Ouyang Yi has a family background that she admires, and her qualifications that she admires. What she hates most is that the brothers and sisters in the martial arts treat Ouyang Yi as a pearl in the palm. I just wanted to find a chance to make Ouyang Yi's face sweep away, because she was 100% sure that there was no dragon Qi Yan in the world. The guy in front of him looked like he was being impersonated. Sister, if you don't want to, I can't ask the Qi Yan son for advice. On the opposite side, Yunhong was sitting upright, still smiling so politely. He is the best among the young people. In the Yunxia school, and in the art circle of Qingyang realm, Yunhong has a great reputation. In addition, he is handsome, elegant, which is the mind of many young girls. Idol. However, only Ouyang Yi knew that this guy was very hypocritical and extremely hypocritical because he rejected his pursuit a year ago. This guy secretly spread his rumors everywhere, saying that he was arrogant and that Ouyang Yi was clearer and fictional. The Qi Yan son who came out only said to Yunhong alone. The reason why everyone knows it now is that Yunhong is the guy who is behind the ghost. This Yunhong has a superficial appearance, a secret one, and embarrassingly with Yi Hui. I'm furious. Despite Ouyang Yi's guilty conscience, but her guilty conscience returned to her guilty conscience, and she could not show weakness. She said coldly, ask for advice, Qi Yan is not afraid of you. As a result, Ouyang Yi raised a jug, poured a glass of wine, and handed it to Gu Qingfeng beside, past the secret whisper, rest assured, although Ms. Ben's temperamental accomplishment is not very high, I have read a lot of books since childhood, and I have read a lot of books on temperament. Don't be afraid. Gu Qingfeng took the wine handed over by Ouyang Yi, cast a glance of understanding, motioned to understand, then raised his head and drank the glass of wine, changed his posture, looked at Yunhong, and said with a smile, come on, young man, let the grandfather see what kind of music you have. Ji Yunhong smiled lightly, but his tone was a bit cold, you seem very arrogant. This is arrogant. Gu Qingfeng smiled cheerfully and said, you haven't seen it before when I was really arrogant. Acting school. Ouyang Yi cast another glance in admiration, and passed on the secret. I'm fine. He should be arrogant as a dragon among men. Keep it up. Miss Hagimoto will back you up. Since the son of Qi Yan has proclaimed that his melody has been accomplished, then I will ask for advice today. Yunhong groaned for a moment and asked, I don't know how the Flying Mad Sand tune can be played. Yunhong's voice fell, and Gu Qingfeng's ear came to Ouyang Yi's voice whisper, with leaflet flow type, the string is a feather glass sound, 100 turns and 1,000 echoes, the magic trick is the red sky shadow moon trick, blue hun fei jia, yin zhao lang yi jia. The ancient breeze was accurately spoken according to Ouyang Yi's night secret whispers. This scene surprised both Yunhong and Yi Hui. If he didn't expect that this guy could say it accurately, then Yunhong asked for a few more tunes, and one was more difficult than the other, but all were ancient Qingfeng. Answered very easily, of course, secretly Ouyang Yi has been secretly transmitting. Little girl's temperament is extraordinary. The secret words of the ancient breeze came, Ouyang Yi proudly responded, that is, of course, Miss Ben said that I had read the book since childhood. I may not play these tunes, but it does not mean that Miss did not know. Yunhong smiled and said, oh. It seems that Qi Yan has indeed read a lot of rhythm books. Of course, there are no tunes that the grandfather does not understand. Okay, very good, arrogant. Yunhongpi smiled and clapped with a smile and smiled, but if you can answer the tune I will say below, I respect you a glass of wine. Yunhong then said a tune named Nandu Jinding. He opened his mouth, and the young people who watched beside him were frightened. Since they are qualified to participate in this music conference today, they are naturally little-known musicians, and they also know a lot about the rhythm, but who is present I have never heard of such a tune as Nanda Jinding. I didn't even know Ouyang Yi. She recalled all the melody books she had read over the years, and she did not remember any tune like Nanda Jinding. Brother Yunhong, there is no such tune as Nanda Jinding. Yi Yunhong hasn't spoken yet, and Yi Hui next to him sneered, you haven't heard of it. It only means that you have little knowledge. It doesn't mean that you don't have it. If you don't believe it, you may wish to ask your seniors. There are not only young musicians watching, but also a lot of seniors who play temperament. Among them, there are many well-known musicians. The most well-known and the most profound temperament is Qin Beili. He is not only the predecessor of the Qinyang realm, but also the master of bamboo. Proud disciple. Senior Qin, you are our master of art in Qinyang realm. Should you know Nanda Jinding? When Yi Hui asked, the middle-aged man named Qin Beili said modestly, the real master of music is my master Wen Zhu. I can't afford the title of master. As for the tune of Nanda Jinding, it is true. Yes, it's just that these tunes are very remote and extremely mysterious. The musical accomplishment has not reached a certain level. Usually, these mysterious tunes are rarely involved. It is rarely known to ordinary musicians. Since Yunhong's salary you mentioned this tune from Nanda Jinding, so Yunhong knows how to play this tune. Yunhong responded confidently, since the junior raised it, they naturally know it. It's not easy. It really is the best of our young musicians in Qinyang realm. Qin Beili and other senior musicians nodded and praised, this Nanda Jinding tune comes from a powerful tune in ancient times, like Yunhong it's really amazing that young people like Sun can know. Predecessor Qin is too prized, the junior just likes the rhythm, usually read a few more scores. Looking at Yunhong's hypocritical face, Ouyang Yi wanted to vomit. Others didn't know it, but she knew that Yunhong often collected some indifferent tunes in order to show her knowledge of rhythm. Ouyang Yi dissatisfied and said indignantly, know what's so great about these tunes, can you play them? Well, girl Ouyang, you can't say that. It's one thing to know. It's another thing to know if you can play it. People like me who understand the rhythm, if you know 10 million tunes, you are also one of your own mastery of rhythm. Kind of promotion. The words of her predecessor, Qin Beili, made Ouyang Yi unable to refute. She had not heard of Nanda Jinding, so she could not tell, and the voice said secretly, damn it. You said why did you just blow such a big cowhide, and there is no tune in the world that you don't know, you dare to blow such a cowhide. Aren't you hurting me? Girl, put your heart in your belly. You are asking me to take a bath, buying me new clothes, and asking me to drink. I am sure I won't let you lose face, it's not the rhythm, let's not blow it to you when the grandfather played the rhythm, the grandfathers of the little grandfather's grandfather might still be playing with the urine. I heard that Gu Qingfeng said this, Ouyang Yi even had a killing mind, God. When it's all this time, don't you pretend to be a senior man in front of me? My aunt is dying. What's the matter of anxious, isn't it just posing as Qi Yan boy? I said, Qi Yan, you just let me pretend to be an ancient serious. This group of little rabbits can't believe it. Look, Grandpa will make you earn enough face this time. On the opposite side, Yunhong continued to maintain his gentleness, with an inherent arrogance on his body, and the smile on the corner of his mouth was especially self-confident. He stared at the ancient Qin Feng and laughed, isn't Qi Yan the prodigal dragon, isn't it known as the leading melody? Doesn't it claim that there are no tunes you don't understand? Haven't you even heard of such tunes as Nanda Jinding? Who told your grandpa never heard of it? Gu Qingfeng leaned forward, took a piece of fruit, still put it in his mouth, and smiled playfully, you said the tune of Nanda Jinding, if I remember correctly, this tune comes from the ancestors of ancient trees, a song of jade-toed Fuxianshan, right? As soon as this remark was made, Yunhong's expression could not help but hesitated, and the eyes of Qin Beili and others were also surprised. Gu Qingfeng raised his head and drank a glass of wine, saying, this Nanda Jinding tune requires 6 fingerings to play, 9 types of strings to alternate and 22 tunes to complete, 6 types. The fingerings are. The ancient Qing foam was not salty or bland, just like saying a very ordinary thing, not only the source of Nanda Jinding, but also the fingerings, strings, and magic tricks of Nanda Jinding. Even the rhythm when playing is very clear. The people who don't understand hear the clouds around, but the people who understand are amazed. Yang Yi did not understand, Yu reading www.yuyukeungshu.com because she has never seen the tune of Nanda Jinding in any books, but Gu Qingfeng said a lot just now, but it made her have a sense of uncertainty. Looked at Yun Hong's incredible expression. It was also found that Qin Bailey and other Qin Bai were also the same. Yang Yi could not help speeding up. Is this guy really telling? She hadn't had time to confirm. Yun Hong asked several tunes in succession. Similarly, Yang Yi hadn't heard any of these tunes, but she didn't expect that Gu Qingfeng was able to answer it at the first time. The fingerings, strings, and spirits of each tune are accurate. Yes. Accurate. She doesn't understand, but she can see it from the expressions of Qin Bailey's predecessors. Not only is this guy Gu Qingfeng accurate and correct, but he seems to be too detailed, which makes these seniors very surprised. Bien Yunhong said several tunes in succession, without any accident. They were answered accurately by Gu Qingfeng. Yunhong's face was a bit ugly. He never expected that the tunes he had produced were answered by the person in front of him. This made him unbelievable. These tunes were all in different tunes collected by his hard work. What he does is show off his own knowledge of rhythm. Some of the tunes can even be difficult for some old predecessors, and they are unsuccessful to try. Even the old predecessors with deep temperament can hardly answer his 36 lonely tunes. Unexpectedly, this person knew everything. This not only makes Yunhong doubt, is this guy in front of Yang Yi really a Qi Yan boy? Yu reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu reading. Respect Chapter 10, Omniscient. Amazing. Really amazing. The 36 tunes of Yunhong's son just now didn't even dare to claim to be able to answer it completely, but you can answer all the fingerings, strings. It's amazing that Ling Jue said so detailed. Some Qin Bailey and other seniors all nodded in wonder. The ancient breeze was not modest. After drinking, he laughed. It's just a few lonely tunes. How can you rarely live with me? My son Qi Yan is the dragon among people and knows the tunes in the world. This is really a little big. Even the predecessors of Qin Bailey, some of them can't stand it anymore. This kid is so arrogant. How dare you say you know the tunes of the world? Oh. Now that the son of Qi Yan said so, can I ask for advice? Come here. Ask for advice. I'm too mad. I'm too arrogant. I have seen an arrogant young man, but never as arrogant as the young man before him. Qin Bailey and his predecessors looked at each other. An old man stood up and asked, I don't know if the son can know the tune of Yueshangyansi. This tune of Yueshangyansi. From the Buddhist monks de Zhiyun Kong mantra, which requires 9 fingerings, 16 strings, 31 wise tricks. Next to Qin Bailey and other seniors who played the rhythm took turns asking questions. The tunes mentioned were strange, from ancient times, from the famous songs of Xiandao, and from the Buddhists. However, it is incredible. The truth is, the Qi Yan boy can answer all of them without any mistakes, from fingerings, strings, to dexterity rhythms, to be more accurate and accurate, more detailed and detailed, even better than the score be more detailed. No one on the field asked any more questions. Qin Bailey and his predecessors all had big eyes and small eyes, staring at Gu Qingfeng, shocked and stunned. Their eyes were incredible. They couldn't figure out how to think at best. How could the young man in his early days know so much about the melody that he knew as much as he said that there was no tune he didn't understand? I want to say surprise. I am afraid no one in the field is much more shocked than Yang Ye's heart. At this moment, she was a little embarrassed, her thoughts were very confused, her mind was blank. A stunned expression looked at Gu Qingfeng. Although she and Gu Qingfeng haven't known each other for a day, they don't know the specific situation of this guy at all, but judging from the failure of Gu Qingfeng to build the foundation, Yang Yi guessed that he might have been an outstanding genius before. Because she knows that if a person can build a foundation before the age of 30, his qualifications and understanding are definitely the best among his peers, not to mention that this guy looks only in his early 20s, even though he failed to build the foundation, but it is impossible to deny that he must have been an outstanding genius. Otherwise, it would not be possible to build a foundation at such a young age. But even if this guy used to be a genius, he doesn't need to be so exaggerated. I can answer Yunhong's 36 indifferent tunes. Now even the various tunes proposed by Qin Bailey's predecessors, he can answer them accurately. Is this too incredible? Even if this guy hits his mother's womb and starts to read music books, can't he remember so many tunes? How many tunes and books do you have to read to remember so many tunes? And who would be okay to read so many melody books? No need to cultivate. Don't meditate. Do you need to breathe? This guy just answered so detailed, comparable to the score, it's more than simple to understand, it's just an encyclopedia of musical music. Is this guy going through rhythm books all the time for more than 2 decades? This is too incredible. The son of Qi Yan is really a talented man, I admire Qin Bailey. Old man has never met such a person who is proficient in music, it is really an eye-opener. Yeah. This young man's understanding of rhythm is truly amazing. My husband lived for 100 years and studied the melody all my life. I thought I knew the melody, but today I know that I am the frog at the bottom of the well. The Qin Bailey and other predecessors of the rhythm all marveled. Gu Qingfeng is not the first time to do such a kind of behavior. He used to show off when he was young, and he has actually collaborated with many young girls. However, since flying to heaven, he has rarely sold any more. Now Gu Qingfeng feels deeply touched again for many years, just like when he was young, the only difference is that he only gushed in front of little girls, but now he is showing off in front of a bunch of old guys, but it feels very funny. Beside him, Ouyang Yi forced all kinds of shocks and doubts in her heart, and asked in a secret voice, "Hey! Gu Qingfeng, you, how do you know so well about the rhythm?" Qinggu Qingfeng held a wine glass, glanced at her, and the voice responded, "Didn't I tell you just now, there is no tune we do'n't understand. No one questioned me as Qi Yan now, right? Didn't you lose face?" Ouyang Ye's little head lighted fiercely, and her heart was extremely excited, especially when she saw Yi Hui and Yunhong with ugly faces on the opposite side. The little girl was anxious to sing a song, she was really happy. After accidentally fictionalizing the dragon Qi Yan son of one person, Ouyang Yi has been very upset, especially this incident was also deliberately spread by Yi Hui and Yunhong, making her have to continue to maintain this unreliable lie coupled with Yi Hui's ridicule and questioning. Ouyang Yi has been suffering a lot this year. Today, she can finally raise her eyebrows and exhale once, and kiss Gu Qingfeng's cheek in excitement, and then holding Gu Qingfeng's arm, she smiles and looks at Yi Hui and Yunhong with a smile, proudly. "How is it? Sister Yi Hui, haven't you always believed in the existence of Qi Yan's son? Haven't you always thought that I was a fiction? Oh, no. And you brother Yunhong, please don't fiddle with your musical knowledge in front of me and tell you don't think I don't know where you got these 36 lonely tunes, you have been everywhere Xian. Sometimes I would laugh at some seniors by these 36 unsolicited songs, and I am too lazy to talk about you, and today I am showing off these unsolicited tunes in front of Qi Yan, How about? I told earlier after you, Qi Yan's temperamental accomplishment is very high. You. The faces of Yi Hui and Yunhong sitting opposite each other were so ugly and ugly, they wanted to take this opportunity to expose the fake Qi Yan dude in public, so that Ouyang's face could be wiped out. In this way, the jealousy in Yi Hui's heart could be eliminated. Yunhong can also report the embarrassment of the previous pursuit of rejection. But the two thought so hard that they never thought that the dull-looking guy knew the rhythm so well. Instead of letting Ouyang Yan look away, she let the guy she found steal the limelight. Is he really Qi Yan? Do not know. Maybe they didn't believe it before, but after seeing the talent of this guy in front of him, they were not so sure. Yunhong refused. Even if he wanted to come, even if the person in front of him was really Qi Yan, he was definitely not a master of rhythm, and he could not be a dragon among people. I know some tunes, nothing great. Yunhong lifted his head and drank the wine in the glass, and said unhappily, "It is nothing more than reading a few rhythm books. As long as I have read some rhythm books, anyone can say these tunes, but to return, whether it can be played is another matter. Upon hearing these words, Ouyang Yi was happy, saying, Predecessor Qin said just now, if someone like me who understands the rhythm, if you know tens of thousands of tunes, you will also improve your own rhythmic accomplishment. Ouyang Yi smiled again, what more can you know if you read more music books? Brother Yunhong, how dare you say that? The tunes mentioned by Senior Qin earlier involve ancient, and some famous songs from fairy magic. Is this something you can know by reading a few melody books? Humph. Ji Yunhong snorted and said proudly, Qi Yan, it is not a skill to say some theoretical knowledge of tunes. If it can pop out, it is called true skill. You can dare compare with me. Better than that? The ancient breeze rubbed his chin, pondering that he had already sold it once. Should he sell it again? It's okay to sell this stuff once. If it keeps selling, what will happen? Looking at Ouyang Yi, the little girl hurriedly said, there is nothing better than anything. I don't think he dares. Yi Yehue also laughed at him, for the time being, he doesn't talk about whether he is a real Qiyan boy. Even if it is true, he will only talk about it. He has no real ability at all. It's a joke. Mr. Qi Yan knows the tunes of the world. Do you think his melodies are bad? To say that Ouyang Yi is also a sharp-spoken master, it is absolutely unreasonable to start a fight. As for how high the ancient Qingfeng's temperament accomplishment is, can some pop tunes pop up? Ouyang Yi doesn't know, but one thing is certain, even if this guy has a very high temperamental accomplishment, he can't play any tunes, because he failed to build the foundation. There is no spiritual power in his body. He can't perform the magic trick at all. Even if the pop-up tunes are just empty, there is no mystery at all. Yu Reading Books www.yuyukeumshu.com. That being the case, why don't you dare compare with me? Dian Yunhong just lost his face and thought he had to make up for it. Why? It's okay to tell you, the son of Qi Yan has cultivated a little bit of trouble and can't use his spiritual power for the time being. Cultivating troubles. He. Yi Hui sneered, I will make excuses. Don't you find that you can't feel any spiritual breath in Qi Yan? When Ouyang Yi said these words, everyone around them sacrificed their consciousness to investigate the past. Sure enough, he could not feel any spiritual energy in Qi Yan. It seems that Ouyang Yi is right, Qi Yan is afraid it is true. He has found a problem and cannot use spiritual power for the time being. Since he cannot use spiritual power, everyone present knows that the mystery of the song cannot be played. If you want to compare, after the boy Qi Yan has been cultivated for a while, he can scare you by playing a song. Ouyang Yi didn't want to be so endlessly entangled anymore. While he has the upper hand now, it is better to leave here quickly, holding Gu Qingfeng's arm, and he will leave. Sister Ouyang, what's wrong? Are you going? Are you afraid that we will expose your lies? Cut. Ouyang Yi flung her eyes, Miss Ben just doesn't want to sit with you nasty ghosts. You. Yi Yehue was very angry, stood up, stared fiercely, gritted her teeth and said, Ouyang Yi, don't be proud. I'm so proud. I smile smugly. Ha 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 ha. Ouyang laughed proudly at night, laughing very sadly. Yu Reading readers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and hottest serial works are in Yu Reading.